third lecture of this particular module, sewer laying, operation and maintenance. So students, till now we have discussed many aspects of sewage and drainage. We have discussed that there are three broad types of sewerage system. We have discussed that there are several components of sewers, starting from the household, house sewer, lateral sewer, branch sewer, main sewer, and then it goes to the sewage treatment plant. Today we are going to study about how sewer pipes are laid down, what is the procedure, and how they are checked for if they are properly working or not, and how it is maintained. So I think this particular slide we have discussed last day also. There are various important steps involved in the laying and testing of sewers. This testing is also very important because the sewer is working properly or not. Is there any leakage or not? That needs to be checked. Otherwise, there will be faulty sewage system, and the water is going to, the wastewater is going to leak out and leach out in all the vicinity of the sewer pipes. So setting of sewer center line, marking of the alignment, excavation of the trenches, timbering of the trenches, dewatering of the trenches, laying and joining of the pipe sewers, testing of leakages, testing of straightness of the alignment or obstruction, and the last step is the backfilling of the trenches. So one by one we are going to discuss all these steps. So setting out the sewer center line. Center line establishment is a very vital segment, of be it road construction, be it any kind of pipe laying operation. We have to establish the center line on the spot, and then excavation or anything can be done. Okay, na? So suppose the sewer pipeline has to go, suppose in this orientation. So first the center line has to be marked. Okay. Then the trenches have to be dug, and then the subsequent steps will follow. So how the sewer center line is marked? Before that, a recognition survey and preliminary survey has to be done. I think these terms you are familiar with. Recognition survey is basically a first-hand survey of the locality of area where the sewer pipeline has to be laid. What are the features over there? Is there any obstruction or not? Preliminary survey is basically somewhat detailed survey with elevations and all checking. What is there any undulation? Whether we will be able to achieve the sufficient slope, because the sewer water has to travel on its own under gravity. There is no pump, no motor going to be operated for that. That is why is the slope available. If the slope is not available, then planning has to be done how the slope can be artificially provided. Okay. So all that planning is done, and after that marking of the center line. The center line can be marked by pegs or arrows. Okay. I think these items you have seen in survey lab. Pegs, PEGS, and arrows, ARROWS. Right. So these are basically used for marking of the center lines. So once the planning is done, then the marking is done with the help of pegs and arrows. Center line is marked. This is the first step in laying of sewer operations. The laying of sewer is generally carried out by starting from the tail end and outfall end and proceeding upwards. Students, suppose this is the point of generation of sewage. Household's point of generation of sewage. From there the sewer pipes have to be taken, and ultimately they have to be dumped into the sewage treatment plant. Okay? So you can say this is the starting end and this is the end point. This is the starting portion and this is the end portion. So there has to be an elevation difference. The starting point should be at a higher elevation with respect to the subsequent points in the sewer, in the path of the sewer line. Okay. The sewage treatment plant should be at a lower elevation with respect to the point of generation of the sewage from the households and all. So it is written the advantage of starting. What it is written? The laying of sewer is generally carried out starting from the tail end. So this is a starting point. Okay? And this is the end point, or suppose tail end. ठीक है? Means पानी waste water यहाँ से चलेगा, subsequently यहाँ पर आएगा. Okay? How it will be carried out? It will be carried out through sewer pipes. Correct? So what it is saying? it is saying the laying of sewer is generally carried out starting from the tail end. इस एंड से सीवर पाइपलाइंस ले डाउन होना शुरू होता है एंड सब्सिक्वेंटली प्रोसीडिंग अपवर्ड्स. ठीक है ना. सो the advantage of starting the laying of sewer from the tail end is that the tail sewers may be utilized even during the initial period of construction. So how construction begins? From the tail end and it proceeds upwards. ठीक है ना. Definitely you will ask that is there not any houses? Is the people are not living? No, people will not be living initially over there. They will not be residing over there because we are going to lay down the sewer pipes. Okay. People will start settling afterwards. First we will lay down means construction is done. Any building is formed. Okay. Building is constructed. All the supply lines are provided so that water can be supplied over there. Right. Then the sanitation facilities, the sewage, everything are fixed first. Then only people start living over there, right? In a hygienic society, in a civilized society, first every amenities, every facility has to be provided, and then people start living over there. That is why from the tail end the process begins, and subsequently it continues and connects the higher elevated points, and definitely elevation difference has to be there so that on its own the wastewater can travel from the households up to the point of sewage treatment plant through house sewer, lateral sewer, branch sewer, main sewer, and to the sewage treatment plant. From the longitudinal section of the sewer line, the positions of manholes are located on ground because in general practice to lay the sewer line between two manholes at a time. Basically manholes are provided. These are the important sewer appurtenances. In the last class we discussed. For proper working, for cleaning of any kind of blockages, the manholes are to be provided. Okay. So the process is shown laying of the center line. So here it is shown theodolite. Nowadays theodolite are not popularly used. We use total stations. I think you have operated total station. Total station is the most advanced process. You know theodolite. Once upon a time it was used for calculation of horizontal angle, vertical angle. Calculation of even the same thing that you can do with dumpy level. Have you heard the term dumpy level? Dumpy levels are used for finding out the elevations, for cutting and filling operations and like that. So theodolite we can use as a dumpy level. Theodolite we can use for measurement of horizontal and vertical angles also. Now, the theodolites are not popularly used nowadays. If we have resource, we will use total stations. Because digitally we can utilize that instrument, and a far more reading can be taken with the help of total stations. You know there is a reflector in total station, and that can work up to suppose 1 kilometer distance. But theodolite and theodolite along with that the traverse we cannot use for more than say 600 meters or something, right? So that is why total stations are preferred. Anyhow, this is the suppose reference line. With respect to these reference lines, and these are the offsets, and we establish the center line, and the pegs P1, P2, P3, these are basically used for marking of the center line. Once we establish the center line, suppose this is the center line of the sewer, that means what, students? That means the sewer pipe will be somewhat crossing this distance and somewhat crossing that distance. This will be basically the sewer pipeline. This is the center line or center point of the sewer pipe. ठीक है ना? This excavation has to be done. The pipes have to be laid. This will be the center line. ठीक है ना? So the center line is marked. The center line of sewer is marked along with the road with theodolite or total station and tapes, and it will be marked either by reference line or with the help of side trail. Side trail used to be there in earlier times. ठीक है? For taking perpendicular offsets, we used to take the help of side trails. But if we use total stations, those things will not be required. Using reference point total station, we can establish the center line easily. So this is the total station. This is the theodolite. These are the taps, and this is process of side trails. Earlier times we used to establish. And see, this is the marking of the center line. This is basically the center line, and the excavation will be done accordingly. Okay. excavation of the trenches. Once we mark the center lines, we know how the sewer line will proceed. Okay, then excavation has to be done. हमें क्या करना, सेंटर लाइन हमने एस्टैब्लिश कर लिया, उसके बाद हमें we have to dig trenches, हमें गड्ढा करना है, and we have to remove the soil bank. Soil bank is what? After excavation, the soil is extracted. Okay, that is known as soil bank. After marking the center line of the sewer, the excavation of trench is started. The excavation may be carried out either by manual labor. In maximum places, manual laborers are used. ठीक है ना? अगर बजट बहुत ज्यादा है, then excavators are used, जिसको आप लोकल लैंग्वेज में जेसीबी बोल देते हैं. ठीक है ना? आप इसको क्या बोल देते हैं? जेसीबी. जेसीबी is a company. These are basically the excavators. They excavate, they extract the soil. Okay, they excavate the overburden. So the width of the trench of the bottom is generally kept 15 centimeter more than the diameter of the sewer pipe. Whatever is the diameter of the sewer pipe, and when we are saying that the diameter of sewer pipe, that means circular sewer pipe, है ना? Diameter किसका होता है? Circular sewer pipe. So the width of the trenches is kept 15 centimeter. It is kept 15 centimeter more than the diameter of the sewer pipe. So sewer pipe का diameter, if it is 30 centimeter, then the width of the trenches will be at least kept 45 centimeter, like that, so that sewer pipes can be easily fitted into the trenches. ऐसा गड़बड़ हो गया कि हमने गड्ढा तो कर लिया, excavation कर लिया, but sewer pipe is not fitting, or if it is fitting, there is no space available. ठीक है, एकदम tight pack हो गया, so it will not be good ना. With time, lateral pressure के कारण it may burst. That is why a little bit offset on both sides is provided. The excavated material is stacked sufficiently away from edge of the trench. जो हमने गड्ढा किया है, जो हमने excavation किया है, तो हम वहाँ से जो soil bank निकाला है, it has to be kept a little bit distance away from the trench. Otherwise क्या होगा कि धीरे धीरे फिर गड्ढा भर जाएगा, right? Then again the trenching has to be done. Again the excavation has to be done. That is why excavated material is stacked sufficiently away from the edge of the trench to form the soil banks of ordinary sizes. Okay. These are the excavators. Then timbering. What is this timbering? Timbering is basically, when the trenches are dug. Okay, जब गड्ढा किया जाता है, the trench is as deep as 1.5 to 2 meter. 1.5 मीटर 2 मीटर जो है deep excavation किया जाता है. So definitely from the side walls there will be pressure. Let me show you the diagram. Suppose this is the excavation. यहाँ पे देखिए, this is the road surface. Vehicles are moving. Suppose यहाँ पे देखिए, the lateral pressure will be there. To support the lateral pressure, to counter the lateral pressure, okay, the support has to be provided so that ऐसा ना हो कि ये slide हो गया. Okay, to resist the pressure, active earth pressure, passive earth pressure, okay, we provide basically timbering so that on both sides the excavated part is supported so that it does not slide down inside. ठीक है ना? ऐसा हो ही सकता है कि इधर ट्रैफिक वगैरह चल रहा है, ड्यू टू प्रेशर the soil subsided, okay, and it got filled up. That is why to support the trenches these timbers are provided. In ordinary soil the depth of excavation is more than 2 meter. Timber, so just imagine 2 meter deep excavation is done, and to support that timber bracing, so sheet piling is done to support on both sides. As simple as that. When the depth of trench exceeds 1.5 to 2 meter and the excavation has to be made with vertical sides which cannot be sustained, it becomes necessary to support sides of the trenches by sheeting and bracing. So basically this diagram that you have seen, this is a sort of formwork provided with this bracing, okay, so that it doesn't collapse up to the point the pipes are fitted inside. ठीक है? In the diagram also box sheeting is in trenches. अब देखिए laterally support करने के लिए the two walls on two sides, this bracing is done. Okay. Now dewatering of the trenches. Many a times when we excavate up to 1.5 meter, up to 2 meter, you know the groundwater table is reached. So that water has to be extracted, that water has to be thrown out. And also suppose if we have dug the trenches and there is a rainfall, बारिश हो गया, गड्ढा करने के बाद, so there will be water inside the trench, that also has to be removed. So dewatering is the process of removal of groundwater as well as any source of water that reaches the trenches that have been dug for the purpose of laying of sewer pipes. When the subsoil water level is very near the ground, particularly in regions which are very close to any river, which are very close to any dam, वहाँ पे आप देखना बहुत कम डेप्थ में ground water is available, ठीक है ना? Near to the dam area, near to rivers, आप देखना कि maybe 10 feet, 11 feet नीचे जमीन के नीचे का है it's water, so that water has to be removed, dewatered. Okay. As such, trenches for sewer construction need to be dewatered to facilitate the placement of concrete and laying of sewer pipes. Okay. So dewatering is done to remove the water which has entered into the excavated portion of the sewer. This is the dewatering. This is the suction pipe. Okay, with the help of pump and suction pipe, dewatering is being done. Water is being removed so that the sewer pipe laying operation can be done. ठीक है ना? पहले dewatering करेंगे, उसके बाद जो साइड को सपोर्ट कर देंगे ब्रेसेस से, ठीक है, टिम्बरिंग कर देंगे, and we will lay down the pipes. Then laying and joining of the sewer pipes. Before the laying of the pipes, so if possible, a proper base should be provided where the sewer pipes can be laid. ठीक है ना? If possible, एक plain cement concrete अगर हम बेस प्रोवाइड कर सकते at least, या फिर we can provide brick flat solid like that, okay, so that a particular base is created where the pipes can be laid. So before laying of the pipe, the subgrade has to be prepared properly, and for soft soil, the bed of the sewer is prepared by plain concrete 1:3:6. What is this? 1 cement, 3 fine aggregates, and 6 coarse aggregates. So coarse aggregate forms the bulk of the concrete, right? The thickness of the concrete varies from 15 to 20 centimeters. The bedding layer is not required in case of rocky or hard soil. If there is a rocky strata, पहले से पत्थर वाला टाइप का, if the subsoil is there, then the sewer pipe may be laid directly. Otherwise, there has to be a proper preparation of the bed. Okay. The sewers are laid along the trench very carefully, and then the joining of the sewer pipe is done. So the sewer pipes are laid down one after another, and the proper joining is done, and after that testing of the leakages will be done. Once we lay down the pipes, suppose the pipes are laid down at a regular interval, they are joined properly with clamps, okay, with joints and clamps, and then testing has to be done whether it's foolproof or not. Okay, so for testing, what can be done? Either water can be allowed to pass through the pipes that have been joined, and there has to be observation that whether there is any kind of leakage. Another type of testing can be through the pipes of the sewer. If somehow some kind of, suppose if at one portion we burn something, that will create a smoke, and if that smoke can be made to pass through, you know, smoke will find, just like water will find its way. If wherever there is a leakage, water will find its way and it will go out. Similarly, students, smokes also find a way to escape. ठीक है ना? If someone of you has seen ever the process of laying of commodes and latrine pans, आप देखना उसमें भी septic tanks when we connect, so a smoke test is done, so that if there is any leakage, that can be identified. Similar to that, here also, if at one end suppose something is being burned, smoke will be created. If that end is closed and the smoke is allowed to move out through the pipes. Okay. So if there is any point leakage, the smoke will try to come out of that point. So that point will be identified and that can be taken care of. हम उस point को repair कर सकते हैं, ठीक है ना? So water test is there, smoke test is there, like that. So water test, this test is carried out between two manholes. Suppose this is a higher elevation and this is a little bit lower elevation. I told you students, the wastewater will flow at an elevated point. Okay, means the point A and point B, if wastewater has to flow from point A to point B, so point A should be at a higher elevation with respect to point B, so that water or wastewater will flow on its own. Okay. So we choose two manholes, one at a higher elevation, another at a lower elevation. This test is carried out between two such manholes. The lower end of the sewer line is provided with a plug and the upper end is kept open. In the manhole at upper point, water is filled and it is allowed to flow. So water, this is the elevated portion, this is the little down portion, and water is allowed to flow. Wherever there will be leakage, water will leak out. That point has to be identified. We can easily identify it because the sewer is laying open, the trenches is open. We can find out at what point it's leaking. Okay. The depth of water in the upper manhole is maintained at about 150 centimeters. The water is allowed to stay in the sewer for a week. Just imagine. ऐसा नहीं है कि 10 मिनट में टेस्ट करिए. No. Water is allowed to stay for even as long as a week. एक week तक जो है water stay कर. कहीं भी लीकेज होगा तो definitely leak out होगा. Okay. Or at least for 2-3 days we are allowing water to stay inside. If there is leakage at any point, water will leach out from that point, and that point has to be repaired. ठीक है ना? Second is the compressed air is allowed to enter into that for smoke test also. Smoke test we prefer. Okay. Air test क्या है इसमें? Compressed air is forced inside. This test is carried out for larger diameter pipe. In this method, pipe ends of both the manholes are plugged. Plugged means locked. Okay. And air compressor is connected to the plug of upper manhole and pressure gauge is attached. See what happens basically. Here there are two manholes selected, inspection chambers. Okay. At one point, silence please. At one point pressure gauge is there, and at another point air compressor is fitted. ठीक है ना? Compressed air is pushed inside, and you know, just like we check air pressure of tires in our 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers. If there is any leakage, suppose we measure right now, and after say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or half an hour we check again. If there is any leakage, there will be a reduction in air pressure. सही है ना? If there is no leakage, then there will not be reduction in air pressure. Similarly, students, compressed air is sent inside and it is checked. Okay? If there is no reduction in air pressure, that means there is no leakage. And in the smoke test, I have told at one end fire is created with blocking of the end, and smoke is pushed inside. If there is leakage anywhere, smoke will come out and it will indicate that there is a leakage that has to be repaired. ठीक है? Checking the straightness of alignment. You know, for road construction also, for any sewer pipe operation also, whatever portion, okay, we have there will be bends, there will be twist and turn.